What is up, y'all? My name is Vince. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. But more than a thank you is an applaud to you for making this effort. You do not need to make a salary to have financial stability. You can have financial stability in an industry with inconsistent income. I know it because I've done it, and I'm going to share it with you now. I have been in this industry for 15 years, and when I first started bartending and serving downtown Nashville, I quickly realized that slow seasons are a thing, and tax season is a thing, and we don't make enough during tax season or on our paychecks to cover our taxes at the end of the year, and what you're making in the spring and the summer when business is good, that's not going to last, so you better have some left over. I have basically, through trial and error in the first year that I was in the industry, figured out a way that works for me, and it's let me build financial stability and comfort and everything, all with inconsistent tip income. And I want to finally share that with as many people as I can. So this is kind of the roadmap to what I did and how I did it. And I've kind of adjusted some things to kind of catch up to where we are today. But the main framework is as follows. Essentially, the first step is this. It's, a lot of us are put on a path that didn't teach us this stuff in school, didn't teach us this stuff early on in our lives. But as soon as we realize, hey, I got a problem with budgeting money, I need to learn how to do it. We have the internet now. It's so easy to learn, and thank you for choosing me to do that. Really, though, what you measure, you will improve. So if you're like counting calories, you're probably going to lose weight. If you're budgeting, you're probably going to save more money. So the first step is tracking your tips, tracking your income, and making a budget and sticking to it. Stop getting into more debt and stop, the overspending habits and stuff like that. That's step one. Really, is just that, and it takes a lot of adjustments, but you'll want to do that. To do that, use our app. I've built this for people in our industry, so you can use the app to track tips and to budget money. It's completely free. You can build your budget, track your tips manually, track your expenses manually, edit your budgets manually. There's a premium version coming soon if it's not already out yet, depending on when you're watching this. And that'll be all automated, so there'll be a bank account integration where it'll do it for you. Step two is what really makes budgeting easier is when you're not like trying to pay for this month during this month. It's when you get to the point where whatever you're making this month is creating the budget for next month. So what you make this month, you use as your budget for next month. We have to kind of get 1 month ahead to do that, and that was always my first step. I want to rewind a little bit real quick because not only did I figure this out early on and use it to my advantage to buy my first house at 24, but I've also taken I've had some personal things happen where I had to move and drown my savings and all that kind of stuff and start over. And I did the same process to get back on track and ahead. And I have my own restaurant, and COVID took me out, and I spent a lot of money trying to do that. And I was in crazy debt, and I used the same system to get out of debt and, be back to where I am now. So I have done this multiple times with this system, so I know it works. I've helped others through it as well. I know it works. I know it'll work for you. But getting 1 month ahead and stop living shift to shift and start living month to month is the first real step. Once you get 1 month ahead, the next step is the $1,000 emergency fund. So this way, anything that happens, like if you need a car repair or a new washer and dryer or something like that, that's not going to wreck you. That's just like, oh, okay, here it is. And then, next month I build back my emergency fund, right? So you need that starter $1,000 emergency fund for shit like that. And then the next step is to pay off your high interest debt. So for that example, when I was in a lot of debt, those were my top three things. I got a month ahead, I paid off debt, I got my little starter emergency fund. That was my priority. And to do that, what you have to do in those first few steps is to really grind. Now, I'll never say that the way to make more money or the way to save more money is just to make more money. But in the dire scenario of you have to get to this place, do everything you can. Sell a bunch of shit, pick up a bunch of shifts. That's the beauty of our industry, is that you can kind of pick up shifts and you can work more if you need more, and you can work less when you need to work less. But now is the time to work more. And for like, I'm talking, depending on where you're at, 3, 6, 9 months, year, it's worth the grind to get to this position where you have your high interest debts paid off, you have $1,000 starter emergency fund, and you're 1 month ahead, so you're able to be financially responsible and budget accordingly for the next month. When you're at that position, it's so worth it to be there. Like, spend 3, 6, 9, 12 months to get there. Change your life for that amount of time to get to where you need to be for that, and it will change your life. I promise you. You just stop drowning and you just feel like this relief. So it's a get 1 month ahead, get $1,000 emergency fund, pay off high interest debt, and then get a 3-month emergency fund set up, because that's what's really going to save you during slow season. And in doing that, I learned a lot about how important that 3-month emergency fund really is, especially in our industry. So it not only helps you a little bit during slow season, but it's going to really help you, in any scenario. That 3-month emergency fund is so important. So those are the first few things that you need to do. You need to build that $1,000. You need to get 1 month ahead. You need to build that $1,000 emergency fund. You need to pay off your high interest debt. Like credit card, you should never have credit card debt. Cut that up right now. No more credit cards. Just use your bank account, debit card, and paired with our system that'll help you track it, you will be in a much better spot. Get 1 month ahead. Get $1,000 starter emergency fund. Pay off all your high interest debt. I know what you're thinking. This is kind of like Dave Ramsey's baby steps, but the difference is I don't care about your low interest debt yet. I care about the high interest debt, getting 1 month ahead, getting that starter emergency fund, and then getting a 3-month emergency fund. And once you get there, you've made it. You can take your foot off of that gas a little bit. You can stop living crazy, and you can start living comfortably, but with intention to continue saving and continue doing the right things, because now you're on a path, a great path that can really help you be financially stable and comfortable, even in our industry. Then you can pay off your low interest debt, or you can build it to a 6-month emergency fund. This step is kind of either way. You can either build to 6 months and then pay off your low interest debt, or you can pay off your low interest debt, then build to 6 months. I always paid off my low interest debt and then built to 6 months, just because that's the better route. But I can understand arguments against it. So whichever one you want to do. But those first 4 things, the $1,000 starter fund, the 3-month emergency fund, the getting 1 month ahead, and the paying off high interest debt, those are your priorities. You don't have any other goals in your life financially until you do that. And really, you don't have any goals at all until you do that. Those are the first things that you need to do no matter what. But then, like I said, pay off your high interest debt, get it to a 6-month emergency fund, and then this is the last step. Then you just keep building. Just keep building that wealth. You're at this point, you're not saving for paying off debt anymore. You're not saving for the emergency funds anymore. You're saving for real shit like houses, new car, all kinds of stuff that, that you can now much easier afford, because one, you shouldn't be buying a house without an emergency fund anyway. So now you have a set up emergency fund, really strong, solid. You have strong, solid systems and habits now. You are prepared to own a house at this point. So now it's just saving to do it. So then now you're saving for, and also throw in like savings for trips and fun shit too. But I avoided that stuff when I was in my grind period. And I said no to drinks after work, and I said no to a lot of things, because I needed to get to this place that was ultimately better for me and the rest of my life. I sacrificed some short-term fun for a lot more fun and comfort for decades to come after that. That's the roadmap, but here's how I do my monthly budget. There's a few budgeting tips and budgeting hacks and how I do my budget that I want to share with you. I'm going to send that to you very soon. For now, you can probably find that stuff on my social media accounts at BYO Budget App. But I don't want to keep this too long. So go check out at BYO Budget App on Instagram, and stay tuned because I'm going to email you some extra tips that can help on creating your budget and stuff. So when you sign up too, you're going to see this feature for 10% going to your taxes. It's like an auto savings type thing. So it's automatically going to put 10% of what you put in into an envelope for savings or for taxes, because that was the one thing that stressed me out initially. I was like, oh no, I owe thousands of dollars in taxes, and I wasn't ready for it. Well, never again, because now everything I make, before I budget it out, I put 10% to taxes. And at the end of the year, I have plenty left over for taxes. And I know. There's no tax on cash tips, and there's no tax on tips for the first $25,000 that you make. I used to do 20% that went to taxes, but I've lowered that now to accommodate those objections. So before you say that shit, know that I've already thought of it. I've already tried this with that stuff. I've already done the math. For people that live in states that make like $2.13 an hour and you really don't get a lot of taxes taken out of your paycheck because there's not enough on the paycheck to cover all of your taxes, this 10% going to that tax envelope is really helpful and really important. It might not be for you. You might live in a state where you're paid, or you might work for a company that pays you a little bit more than that, and maybe it covers all your taxes, and that's awesome. There's an option. You don't have to do the 10% to taxes. You can do whatever you want. But I built that in there for people like me that really needed that feature. And I think it's a feature that no one else has. So really important. Go check it out. Use it if it applies to you. And if it doesn't apply to you, just uncheck the box and you don't have to use it. But everything else on there is going to be really awesome for you. So stay tuned for more. Thank you so much. You're great.